Welcome, everybody. Did you know that scientists are working to better understand the broad range of environmental exposures linked to Parkinson's disease? And according to the Parkinson's Foundation, most experts agree that Parkinson's disease is actually caused by a combination of genetics and environmental factors, including chemicals, toxins, and head trauma. Researchers believe that a combination of factors may trigger biological changes that ultimately lead to Parkinson's. And according to the book titled Ending Parkinson's Disease, and in chapter 2, they call it a man-made pandemic and how chemicals have fueled the onslaught of Parkinson's disease. The book states that the use of synthetic pesticides began after World War I. By 1990, production soared to over 3 million tons per year, or more than a pound per person. And between 1990 and 2016, the amount of pesticides increased by another 70%. And in addition, solvents could also be a contributor, which are used in everyday products, from cleaning supplies to dry cleaning to personal care products and even nail polish. So today we are talking to Jack Quinn about the notion that could environmental toxins possibly be causing Parkinson's. Welcome, Jack.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Coming to you from Buffalo, New York, which you know well, and I know you're in sunny Florida.
For a few more days.
A few more days at the happy place. I love it. I love the sign.
We can't, to tell you the truth, we've been away for a couple of months. I can't wait to get back home to Buffalo, Western New York. That's my real home. It's sunny here, but it's still not home.
Yep. Come back to your roots, right?
Absolutely. Yes. In all senses.
Yeah. Well, Jack and I go way back because in 2008, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, I helped you with your inauguration.
Yeah, you didn't help us. You saved it.
As an event planner, I was commissioned by Jack to help with the ceremonies for his inauguration as president of the Erie Community
I noticed they didn't have any kind of ceremony when I left. Just when I got there, what kind of job I did. No ceremony. Let them go.
Well, it was quite a nice ceremony. So anyways, Jack is a former U.S. congressman of the 27th Congressional District of New York State and past president of Erie Community College, as I just mentioned, in Buffalo, New York, and has over 40 years of experience in higher education and helps clients navigate the intricate and often complex issues that community leaders face. And Jack, unfortunately, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2014 and has been an active public policy advocate and has shared his voice on the need for better treatments and a cure with elected officials. Jack also joined the board of directors of the Michael J. Fox Foundation in 2021. And currently he is the senior advisor for public and community relations for Barclay Damon Law Firm here in Buffalo, New York, which has also has offices in Northeastern United States and Toronto, Canada. So there we have it, Jack. Welcome again. And yeah, you're welcome. So glad to connect with you. Yeah. So I saw a news clipping on you. I read this book on Parkinson's. I interviewed one of the authors and I thought I have to reach out to Jack Quinn. I just feel the need to really talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah. And you were great, Jack. And then I also connect you with Dr. Dorsey, Ray Dorsey, with the book. So that's a whole nother thing. But here we're talking today, and I really appreciate you because you want to get word out. You have been very vocal about this. So tell the audience a little bit about your background and when you first realized you had Parkinson's, because it also, you have family members with it as well.
Sure. It's by the way, before we start, I just want to say that thanks to you, I already have Ray's book.
Yay, good.
Did he arrived at the U.S. Postal Service right on time 2 days ago?
Perfect. Good reading.
So thanks for the introduction, and you're generous with talking about my history, whatever it is. But here I find myself back about 8.5 years ago being diagnosed. I didn't go to the doctors for it either. I went to the doctors because I was developing what I thought was neuropathy in my feet, falling asleep a little bit, not feeling up to par. And I'd been an active guy my whole life, basketball, running, jogging, the whole 9 yards. So I go for my feet and I saw a neurologist. My guy sent me to a neurologist And he took one look at me, and I was dragging my right foot a little bit. I had a tremble in my thumb only. I thought it was a pinched nerve, or I slept on it the wrong way. I mean, lots of things cross your mind. He said to me on Christmas Eve morning, "You don't have a brain tumor." After they did the CAT scan, he said, that's the happy place. You don't have a brain tumor, but he says, "You've got Parkinson's."
Mm.
And because there's no real tests for Parkinson's except on autopsy, like dementia and some others, there's no test they can give you to say you definitely got it, and here's where you stand, and here's how much time you have left. However, you also don't die from Parkinson's. You die with Parkinson's. Something else combined with that, Lewy body's dementia, is one that's a real tough one. My good friend Kevin Dillon, the former judge and the district attorney, died from that some years ago. But in any event, so I was diagnosed with it. I went into a cocoon of sorts. I said to my family, my wife and my two kids, "We're telling nobody. I don't want to bother my mother. She's getting up there in years, and I'm going to take care of this myself." And so for almost 3 years, I didn't tell anybody at the college where I was at ECC. I didn't tell any of the board members. I didn't tell, except for my brothers and their wives and family. We didn't tell anybody. And one day I came home from work, and when I got in the kitchen, my wife was there with my son and my daughter. And I figured they wanted money or something, because they never come all together at once. And they was an intervention of sorts. They said, "Listen, you're not going to be able to get the help you need unless you admit you've got this disease, and you can go out in public." And I mean, this sounds terrible, but I mean, when I used to go to my neurologist, Mary Beth would come with me, because if I see somebody in the waiting room and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "My wife, she's sick."
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, real interesting. So, and that was all part of the cover up, I guess, if you could say, in my business, too much of that. So, at their urging, I went to see the doctor, of course, and we went public with this in a big way some years ago. And my intention back then was to say to other people who may have this or who do have it, is to get out and get some help with this thing. You can manage the symptoms if you work at it. And Ray Dorsey and myself and others believe that part of this is exercise. And the guiding rule is, if it moves, keep it moving. And whether it's walking or exercising or boxing, which is one of the areas I found myself, there are ways to get help out there. You can't just keep it to yourself and hide it and not let people know what's going on, because you won't get help from anybody. So luckily for me, not so luckily for my brother, I was diagnosed 8 years ago. My brother Jeff was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease about 12 years ago. He is younger than I am, but he was diagnosed before me. And so he was boxing at Dean Eno's gym in Delaware Avenue in Kenmore. And that's a guy that we can talk about someday, on a long time. The guy is just simply, he was a boxing coach at the University of Buffalo. He had Golden Glove winners. He had an Olympic trial winner one time. And he just gave up all of his clients, all of his trained athletes, and he does only Parkinson's disease, and that's it. And his results have been astounding. It's just been unbelievable.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because he's in Buffalo, New York.
Sure.
He's given hundreds of people with Parkinson's disease a new lease on life.
Yep.
And I know you've shared some of the stories and what he is doing. And I wonder if also, are there other gyms like this around the country? What else do you know about that? And give people a little bit, if they're listening to this, if they have a family member, if they have Parkinson's,
Absolutely,
a little bit of information about that.
Sure. I mean, I go to Dean's Gym because I believe in what happens there. Yes, there are other programs. One of them that's sort of a franchise operation is called Rock Steady.
Okay.
Great name for a Parkinson's therapy place. But there are about 800 of those gyms around the country. Their approach to this exercise is much different. In fact, I go to one down here in Florida on Tuesdays and Thursdays with the boxing, to keep myself trained and accurate and as best I can. But it's all what you want. I mean, if people The Rock Steady program is more where you go to a gym, they give you a big heavy bag, the gloves go on, and you pound the heck out of the heavy bag for 55 minutes. It's a heck of a workout. It doesn't do a lot for me with my balance, and being able to keep the Parkinson's shuffle out of your gait to get nice long strides and stay elastic if you can. That's the kind of program that Dean runs at in Kenmore, and he's opening a new place in Hamburg. So when you walk in his gym, the program here in Buffalo that's run, the minute you walk in the gym, you're given a trainer for that full 60 minutes. And that trainer takes your record from your last gym period and goes through everything with you all along the way. So I believe Dean has got the secret sauce for people with Parkinson's. And the other people agree, because we just made a little announcement a couple of weeks ago, and over 136 new patients. I mean, the bad news is there's that many new patients, and there's lots more.
Yeah.
The bad news is they're there. The good news is we can help them.
Yeah, and I read some amazing stories about transformations from people that couldn't even get out of chairs.
Nope.
And now they're walking.
I've seen it, T. I mean, there are men and women, mostly men though, with this disease.
Right.
Walk in, and I sat with them on the bicycles. I talked with them. The gentleman's taking 15 pills a day. He spends about a month seriously with Dean at the gym, and he's down to 3.
Yeah.
And so I've been very active trying to get our local HMOs to cover this. It's
Right.
not for all people. It's not considered covered in their medical benefits. It costs $100, generally about $100 session. However, a couple of our enlightened Western New York HMOs have stepped up to the plate, and they did one heck of a job. Independent Health was the first one to just say, listen, they come over to the gym. I invited them to watch some of the exercises and to talk to some of the patients there. And Michael Kropp, Dr. Kropp over at Independent Health simply said, listen, Jack, I want in. This is terrific. We'll pay for twice a week for the rest of your life.
That is great. So now insurance companies are getting on board with this as well.
Blue Cross Blue Shield is on. I'm having a little bit of a tough time getting a hold of the right people, I think, over at Univera, but pretty soon they're gonna come on board. I know they will. We'll convince them one way or another. We'll box them.
Yeah. Get your gloves on.
Get ready.
So let's go back to Dr. Dorsey. You mentioned the book and Ending Parkinson's. Dr. Dorsey also wrote the book with 3 others, so he's a co-author. Dr. Dorsey is in Rochester, New York. He's a professor of neurology and director of the Center for Health and Technology at the University of Rochester Medical Center. Dr. Dorsey is helping investigate new treatments for movement disorders and improve the way care is delivered for individuals with Parkinson's disease and other neurological disorders. And he has stated that Parkinson's is a man-made disease. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I am not a doctor, obviously, and so I rely on people like Ray Dorsey and others. The authors of this book too are brilliant men and women. I've seen some studies. I think he's onto something. There's no question about it. I as a non-medical person, except that I have the disease, patients are trying to get whatever help they can get. And Dr. Dorsey points out that all the chemicals that we're putting in our systems, at some point, genetic-wise and environmentally, make a difference. Mm-hmm. And if you think there's anything that's going to make a difference to help you with any disease, it seems to me that this is the kind of thing you should be following. I know that at the board you mentioned, the Michael J. Fox Foundation board that I'm on believes that, and they've funded some studies with that. But I mean, my frustration, T, is that I was elected official for quite a while, and I look at some of the other diseases that need help, and they get it from the government. We just haven't made enough noise in the government's ear to make them stand up and take notice what's going on with this Parkinson's disease and the environmental problems that cause it. And so I get frustrated because I'm not saying that we we storm the Capitol. I'm saying that we make noise, that
Yes.
we purposefully, peacefully, politely make noise, get our numbers known, get a hold of the elected officials. Luckily for us in Western New York, with Brian Higgins and others that are on board with this, we're in a good spot with it. But I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. Ray Dorsey can't do it alone. We got to make some noise. We got to think we're rooting on the Bills, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
All kinds of noise. So to get back to your question though, with Ray Dorsey's book, I think absolutely he's on something. I mean, listen, there's 5 boys in our family. I'm the oldest of 5 sons. I've got Parkinson's. My third brother, Jeff's got Parkinson's. The second guy has got the essential tremors, which is a neurological disease, not Parkinson's, but hands shake. He's in difficult spot right now. Shortly, we don't think he'll be able to feed himself. And he is, if I'm 70, Kevin is 68 years old. So in the Quinn family, we got the first 3 of 5 sons. Something's going on.
Right.
And my wife will tell you, just to give you the side note, on the street that we raised our kids on in the South Towns, Mary Beth counted 5 men my age and about 200 houses have Parkinson's. And
wow.
That's not genetic. That's something
No.
else going on.
Right.
Something else is going on, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, very interesting. And the numbers of Parkinson are just going up and up and up. And as you said, we need to make noise. And I guess the squeaky wheel gets oiled. So let's hope it gets oiled pretty soon, right?
There's no question. Yep.
Yeah. So you are on the Michael J. Fox Foundation board,
Yep.
which is awesome because he's done such great work. And I was reading through some things on the website and pretty impressed. And he's made some noise, and of course, making more is always better, but they stayed on there. The variability of Parkinson's onset and progression and frequent new genetic findings tell us there is much to discover about the disease.
There's no question.
Right. Our portfolio ranges from novel discovery to target optimization to clinical profiling. For example, we fund work to explore Parkinson's pathogenesis from genetics to environment to aging. So it's starting to not only be apparent, but hopefully the part where the environment could be and toxic chemicals could be affecting people and causing Parkinson's. Sure. And so we're in 2022, and this is almost like it's a new concept, but but that I feel like is a new concept with environmental toxins to begin with. I mean, I've been talking about this since I was in grade school. My mother had us avoiding toxic chemicals, and I went to college to open up a health food store because of all the toxic chemicals. That was the 80s, but I was weird. I was like the odd one. People didn't want to listen to me. I was considered a granola head. Because I ate all organic food and I wouldn't dare spray my lawn. And so, but I've seen a switch in the past decade, now even more so the past 5 years and especially with social media. That's where social media is good because people can talk a lot about these things, right? And so I feel like there's momentum, and there's momentum in a lot of different areas, and things are starting to be discovered from some of these companies that are benzene recently was just discovered in shampoo and sunscreen and deodorant. And so we have these independent companies looking out, and I think it's the consumer. It's the consumer that's going to make some changes, and and then people are going to start to listen. So what you've done has been remarkable, that you've come forward, and I would imagine you encourage many other people to come forward because that's what it's going to take, right?
I hope so. I mean, and the work that you do has been terrific over the years, but we need to put those voices together in the same chorus, singing off the same page. That means something when you say that. And so I know how that works. I've been on the other side of the table of that, I know what legislators listen to and what they don't listen to. And so if I have a positive to bring to the Michael J. Fox group, which you know now over the years, Michael's had it for 30 years.
Right.
He's 60. He got it when he was 30. He's had it for 30 years. He's raised $1 billion.
Wow.
$1 billion over these many years. He's raised it and initiated the study. We're going to run an event, my brothers and I, in October, that will help that effort and put Buffalo, I hope, on the map with the rest of these major cities that are seeing some funding. But I mean, to your point, if that's how it's getting into the system, then Ray Dorsey is right. It can be stopped.
Mhm.
And shame on us all if we don't stop it. I mean,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with helping the other diseases, and I don't advocate taking any money from them. But if we want a piece of the pie, then the pie's got to get bigger. And we got to
Absolutely.
get bigger. We got to get it bigger for Parkinson's. And so I'm looking forward to us being able to get out and see some people in person and talk about it. But I mean, let me just say and put a plug in for the law firm where I'm at Berkeley.
Yeah, please do.
I mean, they've been wonderful to me to allow me, while I'm supposed to be at work, to be doing some things for Parkinson's in the community that does that. But I mean, that's what I mean about making noise. We got to get everybody together to do that politely, as you know, and politically polite and all the rest of those great things. But it's time.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. And I was at a meeting with some doctors out at UCLA who deal with this at a grant they wanted me to talk to them about. And they were going around the table reading their work and they telling me what they did. And I said, I was the only one at the table with Parkinson's. And I said, hey, you know what, folks? I'm the only one with a little urgency here. Why don't you go back to your offices and work on your studies and get something done? I'm going to fly back to Buffalo if you don't mind. And, you know, all in good fun, they understood what I was saying. So, but I mean, it's all for one for all.
Well, you have some power in Washington still, I'm sure. And Brian Higgins is big help. And Brian Higgins is a member of the United States Representatives serving New York's 26th Congressional District and is advocating for the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences to do more research on how toxic chemicals, including pesticides and herbicides, and how they impact development and progression of Parkinson's disease. And I read that, and I know this is amazing news. And in addition to that, he's also trying to pass a law for, I believe it's veterans. So veterans can get their coverage for the boxing also. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are. Yep, absolutely
Okay.
correct. Absolutely.
So it's going to take people like that. I mean, those are the steps that in the right direction, really, because it's really Washington that's going to make some of the changes, right?
You're absolutely correct. And Brian he's visited the gym twice now with me, and I think he went over once on his own. We've been talking, and he's a great legislator because what I find is you explain your problem to him once, and then he goes and works on it and comes back with a solution. He's not the kind of guy you got to call once a week or 10 times a week to check on how you're doing. And that's both of those areas you just mentioned are active with him. And I know that with the veterans, which was my old committee when I was there, the Veterans Committee, I think he'll be making an announcement this summer on some big news with our veterans for Parkinson's.
Oh, good. I know Brian is very active with different things with the toxic chemicals, which of course, you know, is near and dear to my heart, trying to get them out of many products that could be causing Parkinson's, could be, causing cancer, could be causing diabetes. The list goes on and on and on. So,
and let me just say that you brought something to my mind just now. I mean, the other thing that happens, as I've learned in these last few years, is that when the research is going on, when the science is happening, the outcome isn't always what you started when you put the input in. In other words, you could be looking for some kind of drug to help Parkinson's, and while you're there, you find out that it really works pretty good in the control group for dementia, or vice versa. I'm really excited about the news we've read about dementia recently in the papers, because I think not only will there be some help there, but there's going to be some positive fallout to help us in some other ways, pharmaceutically and medically. And so the more of this you do, the better we're going to get at it. And some of those organic pesticides that I read in Ray's book are frightening, frankly, to me. I mean, I got to worry about Parkinson's, but some of these other diseases are frightening. They really are. So, anyway.
Yeah. Yep. So I think the bottom line here is if you do have Parkinson's, if you know somebody has Parkinson's, you can have a quality of life. Sure and instead of staying at home and pretending that you don't have it, or you don't want anybody to know you have it. And like you said, Jack, I mean, pretending at the doctor's office, taking your wife, I'm sure there's other people that do that. I'm sure that don't want to be, anybody to see them, but it's, you can have quality of life. So these are all great tips for people that are suffering or have a family member that are suffering. Did we miss anything else? Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Well, I did my homework that I received from you last week. So I went over most of my notes. Let me take a quick look here.
Okay.
I think we're in great shape. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about this. And I would say to your viewers, if there's anybody else that wants to talk to me about this, contact me or contact you, and you can get to me if you want.
Absolutely.
And just sometimes it's therapeutic just to talk to somebody else that's got the same problem as you got.
Absolutely.
And I'm a really lucky guy to have my brother.
Yeah, right. You got your brother and you got all that support system at the gym too.
So far, I mean, it worked out really, really, really well. So.
Right. It's all positive stuff, and that's important. So, well, you and I will stay in touch and keep me posted on anything that I can attend. I'll march to Washington. You know me, I'll be an advocate up there with my sign.
You've always been more than an advocate. Don't worry about it. I understand that.
Yeah,
well, I'll take you up on that. I'll take you up on that.
Absolutely. And your event in the fall, of course, let me know how I can help with that too, because I'm all about it, helping with this. So I'm an Avenger. I'm a Parkinson's disease Avenger. That's what they call us now.
If we made enough noise and got enough going with this event in October, who knows that maybe we wouldn't get Michael J. Fox to come here to Buffalo. It's
there we go.
60-minute flight. So
yep. And I want to mention one more thing. April 11th, which is this coming, this will air at a different time, but April 11th is World Parkinson's Day.
Yes, and I didn't know that for some reason.
Yes, so I follow Parkinson's disease from Ray Dorsey, got me a little involved with it. So that is a day that we will be talking a lot about Parkinson's on that day. And your birthday is April 13th, so happy birthday.
Thank you. That's quite. We're sneaking this one through. Thank you for having me. Thanks
You're welcome.
To talk about this, and I'm open door policy. Whoever wants to talk about it, I'm here.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk again, and hopefully by the next time we talk, some things have changed and all in the positive direction. So thanks again, Jack.